Welcome to round 8, the thrilling grand finale of the Penrite ProMX Championship presented by AMX Superstores. And we are at sunny Coolum in Queensland, an iconic track rich in motocross history that has crowned many champions dating back to the early 2000s, and where we will crown our remaining champions and wrap up the 2022 season with a bang. Hi, I'm Kate Peck, and with me is 11-time national motocross champion Lee Hogan. Hogs, isn't it great to be in Coolum, the most fitting place to wrap up such a grand event?
Well, Coolum certainly turned it on for us, that's for sure. The sun's shining, weather is fantastic, it's nice and warm, but the track, it's treacherous. It's going to put the riders to the test. I can't wait.
Now, we've just had round 7 where we crowned our first champion for the season in MX2, HRC's Wilson Todd, who was very much deserving of that title after his total domination all season.
Well, it's a true testament to Wilson Todd to be able to wrap up that championship so early in the series. He only had to participate last weekend in the first race. Didn't have to do race 2. He was straight away up there on the 450. And that's enabled him to try to throw a bit of a spanner in the works in the MX1 title chase and try to help his Honda teammate Dean Ferris to try to get that title.
But it's not over for P2 and 3 in the championship as the battle rages on. Who is going to take those podium honours for the championship?
Well, at the moment, it's looking like Reese Budd. He's been so very consistent throughout the whole year. However, on another Yamaha, Serco Yamaha's Bailey Malkowitz, it's looking like being a Blue Crew podium lockout for 2nd and 3rd as we fight out this final round.
And a little earlier today, we crowned our very own Charlie Cannon, a local girl here, for the winner of the MXW Championship.
Go Charlie. She's been unstoppable this year, hasn't dropped a moto, and of course, she hops on that big aeroplane, makes her way over to Turkey to race in the MXGP. Heads off in just about a week and a half's time. We can't wait for her to fly the flag for Australia.
And on to MX3, where the championship is still hot at the pointy end. Caden Minier from WA, the sand specialist, still has a points gap in the lead.
He does, that's for sure. He's got a couple of local Queenslanders here that feel very much at home here. Of course, we're talking Jack Mather and Ryan Alexanderson that are hoping to be breathing down his neck. But Caden Minier, he loves the sand groper from Western Australia. He's going to be very hard to beat here in this final moto and wrap up that championship.
The always impressive and chaotic Max's MX3 Championship, mixing juniors and seniors, is still to be decided. And these are the 3 young guns battling it out for the 2022 MX3 crown. WA's sand specialist, 15-year-old junior racer Caden Minier on the KTM is leading the championship by a healthy 17 points. This kid means business.
Yeah, I'm really wanting the championship this year. Me and Mum, the whole family, we've put in a lot of effort. Dad working 2 jobs to be able to afford me and Mum to live over in Victoria. My brother's sacrificing everything, not having a mum. Yeah, I just really want it and I've put everything into it. No, I'm not really that nervous coming into this round. I'm coming in really confident. Sand, that's my go-to, and yeah, I'm just really excited. Yeah, it'll mean a lot to us all. Dad's put in so much effort, Mum moving over, like I said, sacrificing a lot, and yeah, it just mean the world. Yeah, all you boys, you're going to be looking at the 66 on my back number and eating my dirt.
Closely nipping at Caden's heels in P2 is Gold Coast hard-charging number 62 senior Ryan Alexanderson. Proving himself after a tumultuous year with 6 moto wins, his eyes are set firmly on that MX3 Championship crown.
Yeah, we want it really bad. We've worked all year towards it. Had some up and downs, but we've definitely sort of started to peak the last few rounds, and we definitely come in strong for this round. We want it. Yeah, worked very hard this whole year. Started from December, put the work in, week out. Every day just trying to obviously eat a great diet, get my fitness and strength up to speed, and training with 00 Elite Rider training. So yeah, put a lot of work in. Yeah, it meant a lot winning this championship. Obviously that was the goal from the start of the year. Everything's sort of leaning towards it for me right now. My starts have not helped, but it just fuels me more just to fight through the pack and just still win a moto. It just makes it a whole lot better. You have to work your way through and just know you earn your spot when you get the first place at the end of the day. Been training super hard, coming this weekend, hope to grab the win on the weekend, grab the win on the championship, so we're coming for it.
Rounding out our fierce top three is the talented Queenslander number 43, Jack Mather, on the Husqvarna, who has a handsome 8 Moto podiums for the season.
Look, I want this championship really bad. Like, this is my home track, and I love this track. We're still in this, we're still in the fight, and I'm really looking forward to some racing. So this year, me and my family made the decision to leave school this year to focus fully on my training with Fort Dale, and I feel like it's been working a lot. Me and my family, we sacrifice a lot, but we love the sport and we love what we do. Oh, it would mean the world to us. It's something that we work hard towards each week, and yeah, it would, me and Mum, Dad, and my younger brother, we'd all be stoked. Caden and Ryan, I'm coming for you. This is not over. I love this track, let's do this.
One thing's for sure, no one will leave anything on the table.
Well, great to hear from the championship contenders for the MX3 category, that is for sure. Let's take a look at our Max's Tyres lineup. MX3 Moto2, Brock Flynn, Liam Owens, Miles Gilmore, Caden Minier, Ryan Alexanderson.
Pine Keen also had a pretty good race. Kobe Drew is also up there as well, as we see some of the big hitters got themselves off to a good start, but had a little bit of trouble early on in the Moto number 1. The boys all getting themselves pumped up, ready to go. Tense time for all of them. The final moto of this championship for the Max's MX3. Will it be Caden Minier that comes out on top, or can we see an upset here by Ryan Alexanderson and collect out some valuable points? It is super close between them. It has all come down to this race. Lee Hogan, who's going to launch out first?
Well, Caden Minier did half of the job last time. He got a great start and almost nudged that whole shot. However, going down in turn 2 was not in the script, I can tell you that much. He will be on a mission here to jump out of the gate once again. So look for that number 66 on the KTM to get another good start. Max's Tyres, MX3 Moto2.
Oh, right, almost looping out off the start there. Mini up the inside, though. He has done exactly what he needs. Miles Gilmore there in second place. Moto number 1 winner, as to Ryan Alexanderson tucking up the inside.
Well, do you think Caden will be talking to himself a little bit here? Let's keep it smooth in this number 2. Turn right here, cops a little bit of a kick from the braking bump. He knows tracks like this inside out. This is, you could pick any number of 4 or 5 tracks within a vicinity of his home in Western Australia that would resemble these kind of sand whoops.
Looking good right now, exactly what he needed to do to seal out this championship. I think that's Flynn there, just going to the outside. He was back a little bit further than expected. Looking down the list there, oh no, back there in 4th place, so he's in a very good position as well. Mindset here, opening lap for Caden Minier. He is in great position for the championship. You've got Miles Gilmore that was so fast in Moto number 1. Do we just let him go past if the position presents itself, or is he going to go for the win here and push it all the way?
Yeah, well, look, Danny, I don't think it's in his DNA. It's not in Caden Minier's genes to just let someone pass. So let's take a look. The Matrix Concepts whole shot, of course, goes to Caden Minier. But he's got the championship in mind. I think more so what Caden's trying to do at the moment is to not crash on lap number 1. So that's what we're seeing from him. And we're seeing not caring too much kind of Miles Gilmore, who is prepared to do whatever it takes. If he can try to pounce onto Caden Minier at the moment while he's settling himself into race pace, then I think that's what he's going to do.
Almost a carbon copy of Moto number 1 there to the double outside moves by Gilmore. And he has certainly got the pressure being applied to our race leader at the moment. But let's not forget Ryan Alexanderson. This race around is right there as well. They dropped him a little bit in Moto number 1. Looks like a different Ryan Alexanderson here in Moto number 2. He should dive to the outside. Certainly does. Up towards this double. Also important that they get over it. Otherwise, they will lose too much ground. But Minier at the moment looking very good out in front.
The thing that will be dangerous for the riders such as Miles Gilmore, Ryan Alexanderson, is once Caden gets to know this track and how talented he is in the sand, I guarantee you he would have just taken a little bit easy on that first lap to try to figure out, right, what's going to bite me here? Once he gets familiar with this track and he knows where the bumps are and he can really ride that bike the way he likes to in the sand, I think it's going to be See you later to everyone. It's just my opinion. We'll wait and see how this moto plays out. We've still got 17 minutes plus a lap. And you can't understate when you start thinking about, even if you're a champion, you start thinking about the fact you're about to wrap up a championship here. A little mistake there from Miles Gilmore.
Gilmore almost off track, just getting the lines wrong, and the rider to join the party is right there on screen. The 60 machine of Brock Flynn has now joined up to the back of Ryan Alexanderson as well. We saw how fast he was in Moto number 1. Unfortunate for him, after all that hard work, a little moment where he tucked the front and went over the bars. It's a little uncharacteristic in a corner, but something that does happen in the sand. He sits back there in 4th place and trying to get right up with these guys. Alexanderson maybe just dropped off a little bit in that lap, as we see Gilmore now trying the opposite line. But I like that Minia knew that Gilmore did it the last lap around. He's gone investigating, looking for these new lines, and keeping that mind open to try and find something new.
Well, nerve-wracking time for Dylan Minia, of course, the father of Caden. The young Grommy's still a junior. Not only is he a junior, got another year left in juniors next year now. I know they're pulling all kinds of strings so that they can move straight up into the MX2 class, which I believe they're going to be allowed to do, and that's such a rare thing. That's just how much of a talent we've got on our hands with this kid.
Gilmore working hard at the moment to stick to the back wheel of Minia, and you're right from the opening comments you made about Minia. Once he starts to learn this track, he's going to feel more comfortable and start to pull away. If we look at the lap times, they were their fastest laps the last time around for pretty much everyone, as they start to come to grips with all the different lines that are out there. Nice flow through that corner.
Yeah, it was beautiful. We, of course, need to mention, just from a fitness perspective, Danny, they don't come much fitter than Caden Minia. He had to charge from outside of the top 30 in Moto 1 and ended up making a pass on the final lap to move up into 5th place. So to be able to charge that hard throughout the entire race says a big statement about your fitness.
Alexanderson is still trying hard. It was a big push back there over this last half lap, but unfortunately that outside line did not pay off too much for him, and he dropped back just a little bit back there to Brock Flynn as well. And then of course Jack Mather, the 3rd rider from our package earlier on, he is not too far behind Brock Flynn either, so we still have 5 riders potentially that could be all up there battling it out for the win in this race. Early days, 14 minutes still left to go in this one as the riders start searching for those new lines. This was the strong part of the track for Alexanderson last time around.
Well, he's trying to set up a pass on the inside, and I think he's done enough to make the pass on Miles Gilmore. So the 2 championship contenders could quite possibly go head-to-head as Alexanderson's bike steps out sideways, finds himself only a couple of bike lengths behind arch rival Caden Minia.
We've seen such strength out of Alexanderson over the last few rounds. He's always been able to work his way through, as you see just here. Dives to the inside. Quick look over by Gilmore to see who was there, and just controlled that inside line. Great move, puts himself into 2nd, and with that opportunity to get up there and battle it out for the lead. Exactly what he needs to do if he has any chance of trying to control this championship and get into the lead. Very quick through here.
Wow, have a look at the intensity and the charge from Alexanderson. The kid out of the Gold Coast just south of here. He is taking it to the championship points leader at the moment. Now, while this battle continues, Danny, can you talk to us a little bit about the bike setup here in the sand? How do we change our bike to set ourselves up and try to make things as comfortable as possible in the deep sand?
So, of course, the tyres is the biggest thing. The paddle tyres are going to be the only option to go on around here. Without that, you're not going to get the drive you need, 1 off the start and 2 out of all of these corners. So first protocol is go and change that, but then suspension. Suspension is completely different to your standard motocross setting. It's much closer to a supercross setting where it is very firm. The suspension doesn't go right through the stroke. The rebound on the bike is slowed up a bit more to stop any of that wallowing. And that's why you see on these little chattery bumps like we just saw then, the chattery bumps are not as absorbed as good as what a standard motocross suspension is, because it's so firm. It doesn't allow that bike or that suspension to move through the stroke as much. But you've got to sacrifice some parts of the track, being the little chattery bump, to gain on all of these big rolling bumps, and that's what we see here.
Now, you're exactly correct, and that is why when these riders and the teams go out to test their suspension and try and get it set up for a sand track like this, they mainly try to set it up for the deep sandy whoops, but they also are very sensitive as to how the sharp little bumps are going to feel. So that's one of the biggest issues these guys have to try to tackle at the moment. What a race we've got on our hands. Ryan Alexanderson trying everything he can to get past Caden Minier at the moment. Minier bogged down ever so slightly on that inside line, and a nice slingshot around the outside from Ryan Alexanderson.
They are hanging off the back of it at the moment. Have a look at this. Alexanderson was out wide last time around, made a small mistake, dives to the inside this time, and there was a role reversal with Minier heading out to the outside to check it out this lap. Great back and forward between these two. There's some strong parts from both of these riders. Alexanderson always quick into this part and closes right up.
Yeah, now Alexanderson is super strong as they get around near the finish line as well, Danny, coming out of that last chicane and through that right-hander and onto the main straight, and he carries lightning pace into that first turn. So Minier needs to make sure he gets this part of the track dialed here. These next few corners are critical if he wants to keep a hold of that lead, and he does have that gap back once again. Almost like a bit of a yo-yo effect that we've seen many times throughout the season.
It's funny too because that pressure is being applied in different areas. Right now it is Alexanderson trying to get up there towards the lead, and then they've got third place about to bounce on that as well. What a race that is developing right here. We've still got 10 minutes to go. We're going to take a quick break. This one is far from done. Don't go anywhere. Gilmore, he's certainly dropped back a bit. He did mention in the first race how he felt like he was getting possibly a little bit gassed towards the end of it, but look at this battle again, the charge by Flynn.
And that's where there comes a time where for Caden Minier, he needs to recognise, okay, I don't want to go down with the ship here, shall we say. If Brock Flynn's got the kind of lap time speed at the moment that Caden perhaps can't quite compete with, then there comes a time where you just have to go, you know what, I'm going to take second place here. And just like that, Brock Flynn has made his way up into the lead. He is no threat whatsoever to Caden Minier and the championship.
No, but with the way he sits at the moment, Brock Flynn is looking at an overall for the day with that first race, second place that he got. So a great result in Moto number 2, even after he crashed. And yeah, he looks to the overall as we have another look at this outside move. He's been strong here, carrying that momentum around the outside. Beautiful line and well thought too by Minier. Just as you said, it's time to take second. It's a championship now. That's what's important.
Well, no one would ever doubt Caden Minier's will or his strength of character to just charge right the way to the checkered flag. But like you said, we've seen it a couple of times with Tanti this year. We saw it at QMP last weekend in the MX1 class where he made a couple of big mistakes. He was fighting that hard, and you can almost see they flick a switch in their brain where they go from charge mode to protection mode, and that's what we've seen right here.
Yeah, you can see it with the way Minier's gone into that turn. There is King on the 110, up and over that big double. That is Minier just beside him. The red plate holder, 66 championship leader, and if everything goes to plan for the rest half lap, he should come away with this championship win. There are the provisional points as they head into this last half a lap. Of course, Minier with a 17-point gap over Alexanderson. A smart ride here will see him crowned as the champion. Caden Minier has done so much right this year.
It really has been a revelation. The young kid from Western Australia has put in all the homework. He's done his time over in WA, of course. And then when the time come, shifted the family over, half the family, should I say. Father, Dylan Minier, still based with the rest of the family over in Western Australia. Mum, Sky Minier, based here in Victoria with Caden. They train out of the Beatons program for on-bike stuff. Of course, John Park with their fitness stuff. So a very good program in place, and they've had to sacrifice a lot to make it happen. As a family unit, they've done everything that needs to be done. He's got that many national championships under his belt, 5 already, and hoping for a couple more this year. Without a doubt, he'll be going over to Finland to represent Australia in the World Junior Championships ever so soon.
Taking, though, absolutely nothing away from this guy. He has had such a strong performance today. He went out in Moto number 1. He really pushed it hard to try and get that win early on, but just a small mistake put him on the ground, and he has had to fight for this position right now. Coming from 4th, he sat back there for quite some time, just watching, observing, figuring out his moments that he could make those passes, and looking super strong still at this point, late in the moto.
Staring down the barrel of his first ever victory overall in the Maxxis Tyres MX3 class here in the Penrite ProMX Championship, brought to you by AMX Superstores. What an amazing job for Brock Flynn, the Western Australian, travelling back and forward from WA to make it happen. It's such a trek. You and I both know what it's like to have to make that travel across to the west. Well, for these guys, they have to do it so regularly to come over to the East Coast.
Around the outside to clear out a few more of these final riders through Max's turn, and then into the AMX split section. Brock Flynn, the Husqvarna rider, bike number 60, has stretched out that lead to 11 seconds over Minia, who's actually only 0.8 of a second in front of Gilmore, so that certainly has tightened up. Not that that is going to matter for the championship. There's certainly no pressure there for the championship on that one, as we see Brock Flynn, a little tweak of the steering there as the bike tried to take him off track once again, up and over this tabletop into this long right-hander for the final time. Penrite right-hander and then down this final straight. Lee's done everything right in this race to make sure he was in the right position early on, sat there, controlled exactly his emotions, didn't let it get away from him, and now sits here ready to take his very first win overall.
How about the fitness, just charging onto the straight for the final time, and the checkered flag comes out. Brock Flynn takes the win and the overall, but let's take our attention back to this guy as he comes around. What a moment for the young Western Australian, the child prodigy, your Maxxis Tyres MX3 champion, 15-year-old kid from Western Australia, Caden Minia. What a race. Have a look at the excitement from this young 15-year-old.
I would love to have won a championship like this at 15. I never won anything, but what a feeling it must be for a kid of his age to go up there and beat riders so much older than him as well. You know, what a feeling it must be for him. We can hear him just outside of our box. I'm sure you can too.
Wow. What a moment. I want to see Caden get those goggles off. I want to see his dad in there and the emotion. Yes. This is what it's all about. There's Dylan. What a moment for father and son here. And a hug for the fellow Western Australians. Respect. Mum comes in. This is what it's all about. And such an important moment for Australian motocross. 15 years of age. Still another year of juniors left. Racing against 16 and 17-year-old seniors. He has been at the pointy end of the field throughout this whole championship campaign. He has been rock solid with the kind of consistency that we expect from MX1 veterans, Danny Ham. Let's go down to Kate.
Caden Minia, you are the 2022 ProMX MX3 champion. You worked pretty hard after that Moto 1, but tell us about all the sacrifice and hard work that goes into this, because it was all worth it.
Oh, if you're not from motocross, you wouldn't understand the effort everybody puts in. Mum and Dad, man, I can't thank them enough. All my sponsors, they're just all legends, helping me out all year. And I'm just over the moon, off to Finland tonight, and hopefully we can get another one.
There must be so much emotion running through your blood right now.
Oh, I don't even know what to say.
Is everybody pretty pumped that Caden Minia has taken this win? Yes! There's so many fans here. It's brilliant. You're only 15 years old. You're a junior. What does this all mean for 2023?
Oh, I'm not too sure yet. we haven't made that decision, but all I know is I'm going to train and come back even faster next year.
You need to go and enjoy some alcohol-free champagne and relax till you can jump on a plane.
Thank you.
All right, well done. And in P1, Brock Flynn, come on over. You got the win done after Moto2, just missing out on it. That must feel really satisfying.
Yeah, that was one of the toughest motos I've ridden. Sat behind the boys for so long, I couldn't make a pass, and yeah, I thought they'd pull away from me, but I don't know, I found something midway through and managed to get past them.
You can go and relax now because you look absolutely gassed.
Thank you.
Well done.
Well, it's all about the Western Australians, the Sandgropers at the moment. They've done a fantastic job here, of course. Brock Flynn taking the overall win here today, but the young champion, the young prodigy, Caden Minia, is stoked and over the moon, as he very well should be. Dad's got the #1 t-shirt on, so does Mum.
Well done, yeah.
And Caden is about to do likewise.
Where's your other black one?
What a fantastic moment for this family, Danny.
So much effort's been put into this championship for this family, and that's the sacrifice that sometimes that's going to be made. You hear it all so often. There's so much effort, not just by Ryder, but the entire family, everyone that's involved, the trainers and stuff that are also involved in it to make sure everyone's ready for it.
Yeah.
As we see the #1 shirts on the riders. But let's take a look at the championship points as they stood. After that one, of course, Caden Minia was our champion for this year. Ryan Alexanderson back there in second place. Very well fought out. Not quite enough at the end, but still very, very good performance there. Jack Mather held on for third place. Byron Dennis, another one of those young riders who's managed to stay up there in fourth place. And Tynan Keane, who we saw great results out of early on in the year too. He is up there in fifth place.
What a way to finish the series here at Coolum. The vibe, the atmosphere, and just purely how rough this track gets, it's phenomenal. Let's quickly take a look at the lineup for the Pirelli MX2.
It's Bailey Malkowitz was our fastest qualifier out there early on. Jesse Dobson, the two Serco Yamahas, absolutely flying today. Noah Ferguson, Hayden Smith, a name we haven't seen too much of, was also really ripping in today, and Nathan Crawford.
Well, Nathan Crawford's going to be hoping to find some of that form that we saw last weekend at QMP that gave him that double victory, that is for sure. Hugh McKay, Jace Cosford, just to name a couple down there in the bottom of the top 10.
I'm liking Reese's decision to be out a little bit wider on this start line. I think he can really sweep into this first corner well. It is quite fast, so that line out there is going to allow a bit of room to move. However, if those inside guys do jump out early, they're going to control that first turn, so it's going to be a tough one.
Well, it really is that kind of track that can separate riders, but normally maybe 4 or 5 seconds gap, and you find them 20 seconds apart from each other, and hence why it's quite often we can see a minute between riders that would normally be battling on any other given track. So we'll wait and see what happens here, but we have still got plenty of battles to come here in the MX2. I believe Reese Budd is absolutely in a perfect position to try to lay down and hold on to that second place at the moment. Reese Budd is on 252. Of course, Wilson Todd, we forget to talk about him because he already wrapped the championship up last weekend for Honda HRC.
Yeah, so Reese Budd has enough points there to maintain second place. No one can pass him on points for this one. It's 28 points, 25 on offer here. But it's down to Malkowitz and Dobson for that final podium spot in this championship.
A couple of teammates as well.
A couple of teammates and a couple of sore bodies, I think. So it'd be interesting to see how this one plays out. The nerves are certainly building up for these guys. Their last chance to have the hit out in 2022 for the Pirelli MX2 class. Who is going to stamp their authority in this one in Moto #2. It's hard to go past maybe Nathan Crawford with the way he's been riding over the last couple of races.
Yeah, I think perhaps Nathan Crawford's going to be really quite difficult to beat here, just purely coming off the back of those 3 Moto wins and the confidence that he is carrying, but momentum is the key. So I'm going to ask you from a whole shot perspective, I'm going to go Nathan Crawford. Who are you going to pick for the whole shot, Danny Ham?
God, I was going to go Nathan Crawford too, but it's about to drop, so we're going to find out in just a moment. The gates go down and we're out of there for the final time. It looks like KTM again.
Nathan Crawford once again up the inside. That is that
Haruki
Yokoyama.
Oh, we are going to have to wait for the official
whole shot award on that one because it was super tight.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Haruki rocketed out of that first turn. I believe he may have got across that line first. We will wait for that whole shot.
Oh,
Ticker.
Ferguson.
Oh, and it is cleaned out.
Cosford?
A couple of riders. It is.
Oh, no.
And he is trying to lift two bikes up. And Noah Ferguson is trying to blame Jace Cosford there.
Yeah,
It is not his fault, Noah.
No, unfortunate. It was a great start for Ferguson and also Cosford after such a great start in Moto number 1. Great results. And yeah, that has just put a dampener on this. Hey, have a look in second place once again after the shoulder being thrown out. He might have to do this before he goes out every single time. Hopefully he can last the Moto out with the way the shoulder was and the pain. Very hard to deal with, but he moves himself into second. That is, of course, Jesse Dobson, Serco Yamaha. He is battling it out for that final podium spot in the championship. So this will be interesting. Malkowitz, where's he currently sitting? Back there in 6th.
6th place, going to need to start to head up towards the head of the pack. And previous history from Wodonga is anything to go by. The shoulder, once it goes back in, doesn't prove to be too much of a drama for Jesse Dobson. So we'll keep an eye on that. I need to make mention though, Danny, Nathan Crawford, we'll just quickly actually, let's mention the 7 whole shot goes to Haruki Yokoyama, as you mentioned. I was just about to say, Danny, Nathan Crawford, we've witnessed a lot of people up near the head of the pack riding exceptionally fast. Your Wilson Todds. Who have we had go down here? A couple of riders have come together. 2 of the Hondas.
That is a radiator that has no fluid left in it.
Oh, and a tyre on the header pipe, so we saw some smoke coming from that machine. So for the 3rd time, I'm going to try to explain what I was talking about with Nathan Crawford. He is looking smooth and calculated and not putting a foot wrong. I don't think I've seen any of the big hitters in any of the classes. Wilson Todd, all over the place. Caden Minia, absolutely wedged to the stopper, but making some mistakes. Nathan Crawford looks the smoothest and most calculated out of all of these riders. Just simply a case of 2 bikes coming together there.
Yeah, unfortunate for them, just 2 lines coming together. But I agree 100%. Crawford looks the most in control out of everyone we have watched today who sits in the lead of their particular race. And right now, again, looking very comfortable. But I tell you what, he hasn't moved away. It's only early days. He has not moved away too much from our 2nd and 3rd place. And of course, we haven't even mentioned the fact that Hayden Smith is once again up there in contention in 3rd place at the moment. It says 2nd, but he is there in 3rd place at the moment.
Well, Jesse Dobson's starting to ease his way ever so slightly onto the back of Nathan Crawford. Now, I think that is a really key, important thing we need to ask the question, Danny. It's one thing to watch Nathan Crawford and how he's riding at the moment, but can you tell me, does he have anything left in the tank? He looks like he's doing it at about 90%, doesn't he? If Dobson gets any closer, does he have that extra 5 or 10% to be able to get to that point where he's a little bit loose and making mistakes?
Yeah, I would have to think that he does have enough left in the tank, considering that Dobson, as we said, is coming into this not 100%. If the situation presented itself, I would think that Crawford could turn it up just a little bit. Maybe start to find that very thin line of the edge of control. And right now, looking at some beautiful lines up the inside there, something we saw Todd Waters taking massive amounts of advantage to early on in the MX1 class. So great lines as well, and I think that's a key at the moment. One of the reasons why he looks so good is that he just simply looks so comfortable on great lines.
Well, that was fantastic from Jesse Dobson, who launched over a couple of the rollers and turned it into a double. And I was just about to make mention, when you see a really good sand rider, and we've seen a lot of them over the years, they tend to, instead of using the bumps against you and causing the bike to do all kinds of weird things, they tend to use them as an advantage, and I'll use them to either double, and quite often coming into these huge braking bumps entering into corners, they'll pick a big one and launch over another big one and miss about 4 or 5 in the process. And we've seen that a couple of times throughout the day today, and that's the riders that know sand exceptionally well and how you can use those kind of bumps to your advantage.
It helps conserve some energy too, and that's exactly what I would think that Dobson would be needing to do in this race. Still, again, has not dropped off the back of our race leader. Let's not forget, though, that in race number 1, Dobson was coming on strong early on until we had that moment where he just disappeared.
So he certainly could be in contention for a challenge here at the lead. Hayden Smith still sits there in third place, and I don't remember the sound of a two-stroke last time he was out there, but I did not pay attention.
Well, I definitely heard Shane King's son out there on a two-stroke doing a fantastic job, who he always does. But I just want to quickly make mention, Danny, Jesse Dobson in the battle between his teammate Bailey Malkowitz. If they continue to stay in this same position, Dobson will be 239 points, and it'll be Bailey Malkowitz on 241 that will lock down that third place in the championship. Reese Budd currently in 6th place in this race is doing well and truly enough. He'll finish on 268 points. So you're right, it comes down between these two Serco Yamaha boys as to who's going to get that final spot in the top 3 in the championship.
So to add to that one, if Dobson is able to get himself around Nathan Crawford, that will award him an extra 3 points, which would make the pass. So this is really interesting at the moment. These boys certainly cannot give up at the moment if they want to contend for that final position. 5th place for Malkowitz, Bud behind him, Yokoyama, who was just on screen there for a second. Ferguson, Isaac, that is, on the 149 back there in 8th place. Constantino with 9th, and then Hugh McKay back there in 10th place as well.
So it's been a great season campaign for Reese Budd, who's just on camera at the moment. Nice little double into the corner, lofting over a couple of the bumps there. He's been exceptionally consistent. He's been there all the time. He's had a lot of television time on him. The camera's been on him a lot. That's what happens when you get good starts and you find yourself up at the pointy end of the field. Bailey Malkowitz there, number 11 on this Serco Yamaha, doing a great job at the moment. Let's go down to Kate.
I just got an update from Paul Teasdale, Bailey Malkowitz's mechanic, saying that he knew Bailey's start would be strong due to the size and weight. He's about 18 kilos heavier than the rest of the field, so they went to an outside gate to sweep around the outside for better track position, but he got boxed at turn 1.
All I can say is get on a 450, Bailey Malkowitz, because at 250, even if you do have a Serco Yamaha motor in there, you are suited to a 450, and I'm sure it's only a matter of time. He's such a talented young kid, former world champion.
Oh no, Dobson's down. Dobson. I saw yellow flags. I wasn't sure. Oh, and where he is seated, it's
shoulder.
It's got to have, his bars are bent up hard. It's got to have high-sided him on top of that jump.
Yeah, to end up where he did, it wasn't because of the ruts at the top of the jump. It had already happened prior to that. So perhaps the old winding up like a clock side to side and then just piff you down the track, or actually into the face of a jump. So here we see man of the moment staring down the barrel of another victory here for Moto number 2, the Pirelli MX2. Welcome back to the Penrite ProMX Championship, brought to you by AMX Superstores. We're here at Coolum, and we have had some dramas for Nathan Crawford. Finds himself back in 2nd place now, and the gap between 1st and 2nd is growing. He's 4 seconds now, Danny, and just while we were away at break there, we saw a distinct look over his left shoulder as he come past the mechanics area. Now, we'll try to pick up. I can't see any dirt on any part of his riding gear. He doesn't look like he's gone down. Do we perhaps have some kind of bike issue going on?
Yeah, well, I'm just looking at the lap times. It's certainly not as comfortable through there that time around. Just looking at the lap times the last time around, he's dropped basically 3 to 4 seconds. We're going to head down to Kate, who I think might have a bit of an answer. Maybe we've got a tyre problem?
No, I've just spoken to his mechanic, and he always knew the second moto would be hard. It's a bit of bike fitness and a bit of arm pump.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah,
well,
that will explain it.
Well, you know what, and that, to me, watching him, and I'm sure you'll back me up on this, Danny, he looks, even at the moment, if he is that fatigued that he can't keep pushing, it's amazing that he can still look to be one of the smoothest on the track.
Yeah, absolutely. He certainly has dropped that intensity. You can see it right here as we go back to now the race leader in Levi Rogers, how much harder he was pushing. Remember, only laps to go. Whoa, you do not see that happen on a straight normally.
Could have.
Only a couple of laps ago, Levi Rogers and Nathan Crawford were matching each other. Time for lap after lap after lap. There is 2 seconds at last lap, 3 seconds the lap before difference between them. So Rogers has maintained that pace and Crawford has backed it down. Now for the overall for the day, Crawford doesn't need this win.
No, he has a huge lead, points for the day. Now watch this, back is front. It started with the front. It just got over that tiny little bit of a berm where they're using halfway down the straight to turn off and start to set up that arc into the first turn. And that could have been massive.
And Scotty Bishop told me how quickly Levi Rogers was around this track. We didn't unfortunately get to see that in Moto number 1, but certainly showing it right now. A big moment a second ago from this view as he went down that straight, the back end again, stepping out. Another big guy on these little 250s.
Oh, he's a huge human being, is Levi Rogers, that's for sure. Back there, Bailey Malkowitz and Reece Budd in 3rd and 4th place find themselves tied on points. So for the day. So positions remain the same how they are at the moment. And once again, another big moment there for Levi Rogers. He's all over the track. We can see he's still got plenty of energy though. Energy is not the problem.
No, energy is not the problem. This loose ground is certainly the problem as he goes up and over this one. And you see the provisional points down the bottom right. As long as they finish the way they are, they should remain this way. With, of course, Reece Budd, we said, had already secured 2nd, but now after the Dobson incident earlier, Bailey Malkowitz will secure 3rd place in the championship as well.
Oh, another big moment, a huge step out to the left-hand side there for Levi Rogers. Keep it nice and straight. We're in the latter stages of the race here. The final moto of the season. 3 minutes plus a lap to go for the Pirelli MX2 Moto2. And continuing to circulate, Nathan Crawford. Number 199, he will take a very impressive overall victory here, but his win streak will come to an end. It'll be 1-1-1-2. Nothing wrong with that.
Hey, that's not a bad result for the only races that you've done for the year. Honestly, you can't complain about that at all. As they work their way through the RP turn into Michelin turn here for Nathan Crawford, who has slowed up just a little bit, although he has picked up the pace again. He was down in the 158, 159s in laps previous. Maybe he just needed to take a breather for a couple of laps. Arm pump can be an absolute problem here when you start to tighten up. Things definitely work against you. And if he is able to loosen out just a little bit and maybe lose a little bit of that pace comes back with it as well.
Heading through that mid-section of the track, coming past the Penrite chicane and into the Maxis right-handed turn here. These whoops are getting deeper and deeper every single lap that goes by. And it's really not a matter of if, it's when you make a mistake, because every single one of these riders out here, it's not possible to make it from the drop of the gate to the checkered flag without some kind of drama.
Over the little sky jump there for Crawford still, although if he is tightened up, if he is tired, he still looks very in control and very smooth on the bike. So it's exactly what he needs to do to close this one out. Again, he has 10 seconds gap over the place behind him as he's working towards the 43 machine of Mackenzie O'Brien to put a lap down on them. Into the right-hander here. Blue Crew right-hander before he goes back onto the start straight. So a minute 48 left on the clock. There is only 2 laps left in this one for him. And the rest of the field, as they go past, well, actually 5 seconds in front. Man, it's going to be close. It might turn out to be 3, but it's going to be right on the buzzer.
Well, I'm not going to doubt you on the times and the lap prediction, because time and time again this year, Danny, you have proven to get that right and I get that wrong. So I'm going to leave that to you, and I'm going to focus on the riders. And Bailey Malkowitz, number 11 on the Serco Yamaha. Little step out to the side there and coming up very, very short. That has proven to be a very difficult double throughout these last 2 days.
As a rider doing that lap after lap, it's an awkward feeling to be landing that short. You know, when you pull up a little bit short on a double, it hurts sometimes, but you're able to roll out of it. To land that short, lap after lap, it absolutely takes it out of you. Mentally, physically, it's so draining So for these guys, I mean, this track, as we said, all day long, it's brutal. And right now it is really testing the fitness of all these riders.
So 5.7 seconds the gap between Levi Rogers and Nathan Crawford back there in second place. Bailey Malkowitz, 11.2 seconds back. Reese Budd finds himself some 3 seconds behind Malkowitz. Yokoyama, 6 seconds back and rounding out the top 5.
Yeah, Constantino has moved up a few more places as well in this race, so good to see back there in 6th place. Another solid performance. As we see Malkowitz, just a little moment there, trying to clear through a couple of the lapped riders. Both feet come off the pegs, but still maintaining that nice, smooth roll all the way around the outside. Reese Budd, though, it might be the end of the moto, but he still looks like he is on a charge. No matter what time of the day you look at him, he looks like he's putting 100% in every single time. The lap times might have slowed down a little bit, but the effort certainly hasn't disappeared, and I think he is trying really hard to get this pass. I'm sure the lap board has let him know that he needs to make this pass if he wants to get the minor place in the overall. Let's see how this one plays out. Last lap, so just ticked over in time.
1 lap to go. Levi Rogers continues to lead here. MX2 Moto number 2, thanks to Pirelli. 4-second gap back to Nathan Crawford. The gap has stayed very similar between these two, but it's 3rd and 4th place still up for grabs here as Bailey Malkowitz and Reese Budd fight it out.
Into the PR left-hander for the final time. The front wheel just dipping into the hole there for Reese Budd. Has made pull up that momentum just fractionally as they go through here. Certainly has closed up a bit between these two, though. Only 1 second difference between 3rd and 4th in this. And as we said, this is vital for whoever finishes in front will get that 2nd spot on the podium for the day. So a big effort here by Budd, and it's really close right now between these two.
It's great to see this battle come right the way down to the wire. They're, of course, in the last half of the final lap. Who's going to come out on top between these two Yamaha riders? Certainly looks to be Levi Rogers coming here into the final part of the circuit through the Pirelli left-handed turn and up and over the tabletop that claimed Jesse Dobson.
Yeah, it was unfortunate for Dobson. He looked so strong there. We thought that maybe he might be able to hold on and challenge out for that lead. But it will be this guy who is going to come around the final couple of turns through 4 corner right there into, fittingly, the Blue Crew Yamaha corner, up and over the finish line. And we have waited all year to see this. Levi Rogers will take a win in the Pirelli MX2 Moto number 2. A great ride there, and Crawford across. Absolutely pumped with his performance. Will take the overall for the day.
So happy. Nathan Crawford is over the moon. And what a battle right the way through. Coming across the finish line, Bailey Malkowitz will hold on ahead of Reese Budd.
Nothing between them two as they came across the line either. There is Yokoyama finishing off his race.
And he must have had some kind of mishap there because he was right all over the back of Reese Budd, and to finish quite a ways back, 28 seconds back. So something certainly happened to the Empire Kawasaki rider there. Jai Constantino, his teammate back there in 6th place. And of course, Noah Ferguson, who went down in that very early stages of the race, back to 7th. Not too bad whatsoever.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that one. He climbed through a lot of positions to get himself up there to get that final place of the day. As we look at the Pirelli MX2 Moto number 2 results for this one. Of course, it was Levi Rogers on the Yamaha who takes the win in Moto 2. Nathan Crawford in 2nd, gets him the overall. Bailey Malkowitz, Reese Budd, Haruki Yokoyama, Jai Constantino, Noah Ferguson, and Isaac Ferguson just behind them.
In P3, Bailey Malkowitz, an excellent qualifying for you. A P3 for this moto and a P3 in the championship. It's a decent way to wrap the year.
Yeah, definitely a good way to wrap up the year considering the year we had. Come in underprepared and tearing my MCL and PCL and thought I was out halfway through the season. So, no, happy to get 3rd in the championship and just gave my all that last one. Tops up to the boys. Nathan rode unreal coming back from his major injury. And Levi just absolutely smoked us. So, just happy with it. Massive happy birthday to my mechanic, Paul Teasdale. And yeah, just a massive shout out to everyone, the support and the team, and yeah, just unreal.
Yeah, good work, well done.
Thank you.
And in P2, Nathan Crawford on the KTM. Nathan, you lost some speed at the end. Talk us through it.
Yeah, I know. I just could see my track position. I got out front early and I was pushing pretty hard. And yeah, I just decided to maybe just take a little bit less risk. And I knew I didn't have to beat Levi for the overall. And I could see sort of the boys behind me, and I was just trying to maintain that gap and smart race. So yeah, I mean, second's still not bad. I got the overall, so I'm pretty happy with today.
Yeah, you've got to be pretty satisfied with how you've wrapped this year up, coming back from injury.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't expect it, to be honest. But I mean, part of me should have. You know, we put in a lot of work, and I think I've shown, you know, what could have been. And obviously, congratulations to Wilson on the championship and all the boys today for all the hard racing.
Well done. We'll see you next year.
Thank you.
And in P1 on the Yamaha, Levi Rogers, your first win for the year. Great ride from you. You look pretty gassed.
Yeah, man, I'm absolutely rooted. I gave it everything I had that one. First moto, come together with some other riders, was coming through the pack, got to 5th and made a silly mistake right at the end and had probably one of the weirdest crashes ever, and man, I wasn't able to finish, unfortunately, and ruined the overall, but I just gave it everything I had. Just wanted to put this team up front where they belong, man. They work hard, you know. I mean, they waited on me after I got my shoulder pretty much fully reconstructed at the start of the year. Another injury at Maitland, and it's just been tough. But big thanks to the whole team. Ben Shadell, that dude, has done so much for me to help me get back to the front. Got to thank him heaps. Mum and Dad, everyone.
You enjoy that champagne.
Thank you.
What a day it has been for Levi Rogers. A great result there as we take a look at the overall championship points for the Pirelli MX2 for the final time. Of course, Wilson Todd was our champion. Reese Budd was back there, 271. Bailey Malkowitz ended up being 3rd. Jesse Dobson comes away with 4th. And Noah Ferguson will come away with 5th place in this championship. A well fought out battle for the entire year. Who will step up next year in 2023? There is still plenty of big name riders that certainly can get up there and challenge out that